Today, we become legends.
So continuing the trend of very arbitrary tier lists, I decided to do a movement abilities tier list this time. Basically, I've taken every ability that I think's primary use is movement. Almost all like dashes and leaps, but I do have some like big movement speed steroids, like I have Kukulkan's 2, I have Changa's passive, things like that. So this is pretty much all the movement abilities that I can find from all the gods that currently exist in the game, as of Suku Yomi when I was recording this video. And there's 99 of them in alphabetical order by god, so let's just jump straight in. So obviously, I'm sure a lot of you don't really know ability icons, so I'll explain which ones are which as I go through. So this is Achilles 3, which I think is very good. Probably like an S tier movement ability, honestly. Like, it's a double dash, which is really nice, because like, you're almost always going to hit someone with the first thing of the dash as Achilles, so like, it's usually a double dash, especially in like, in lane and stuff. For clearing camps, if you're playing him in jungle, obviously not, but usually if you're playing him in solo or in support, you're going to get the double hit, and in jungle, if you're ganking, you're going to get the double hit, which is when the movement is really the most important, so I think it's very good. It does tons of damage, obviously, like when it double hits, and it's got decent mobility as well. Arachnid's probably A+. It's a pretty decent range dash, it's fast, so it's pretty hard to catch, though you can actually catch Arachnid in the middle of it if you time it perfectly, but it's so fast that you can't really time it on reaction to Arachnid dashing. It's more like if you just were throwing a CC and he happened to dash at the same time, you might catch him. It's not like something you can do on reaction because it's such a fast dash. But obviously, combos with his one really well. You can like dash away and then put the one on the enemy and stun them to like completely just disengage. And also does really good damage for both wave clear and objective clear and also camp clear, so pretty good. Amaterasu's movement speed aura, so obviously not really considering the power aura part of this, but I think this is also A+. Purely for the fact that you can speed up your entire team. Like, Amaterasu can engage and disengage like really well and just flow really well into a team fight with this aura, like moving her entire team about. And obviously, like, if you want to, like, if you've just finished a fire giant or something and you've like wiped the enemy team, you can use the speed aura to quickly like get into like take phoenixes and things like that. And it's just a very useful movement ability. Like, it's very different to a lot of these ones. It's not just a I am going over here and I am now safe. It's very different use than that, but I think it's very powerful. Amaterasu's 3, however, is a little more normal in terms of movement abilities. I think I'd probably put it in A. I think before they changed the fact that you like root yourself, it could have potentially been a B. But now that you can sort of use it more freely and you don't root yourself during the cast, I think it's pretty good. It's a decent range dash. It has a little bit of startup time. The silence is really nice to have, especially because it goes through people. Like, you can silence, like, you can dash into their front line and potentially silence their back line, which is pretty cool. But I think it's a pretty quintessential balanced movement ability. And her jump, this is like either A or B. I don't know. Probably A. I was going to put it in B because like it's quite slow to start up, doesn't really go too far, and it's quite slow in the air as well. It's a bit like Neath backflip in that regard. Like, a lot of the old guard movement abilities, which Anher is a very old god, he was either one of the originals or it was added like very quickly after that. And it's quite slow in the air, so you can like easily know where he's going to be if you know the range of the jump, and then just kind of like be there when he's going to land. Obviously, you don't want to get knocked up, but you know what I mean. You can like predict where he's going to land and either throw an ability or be right there for him. But I think the aggressive use of this ability means it's like A instead of B for me. Just being able to like jump on people aggressively and like impale them into walls and stuff is pretty good with this. Alkwang's invisibility and decoy, probably also A. I mean, it's a short range teleport, but it is followed up by stealth, so you can like immediately kind of like disengage with that. You can also use it for damage if you want. It's pretty good on like finishing off jungle camps or finishing off kills, combos with your ultimate pretty well. If you're not using the ult to execute that, if you're just using it for like a CC up down, you can set up the one and blow them up with that. Less so nowadays when you're building Alkwang attack speed, but when you used to build in full ability based, it was pretty strong in that regard. Apollo Dash, I think much like Anher, this is like a kind of A or a B. But I think since I put Anher in A, I'll probably put Apollo Dash in A as well. Like, it knocks people away, which is usually not that relevant, but it can be. And then also, it's a decent range dash, and it stacks your passive, which is pretty good as well. As I said, I think this one is potentially a B. Depending on what else I put in A and what else I put in B, I may end up moving this one. Arachnid Webs are probably like A+. In terms of like what they do purely for mobility, they're not that good, but if you consider the whole ability, like, it gives you like 40% movement speed, slows the enemy a lot, obviously gets the broodlings, which do a lot of damage, and like if you hit an enemy with it, you can kind of like continue chasing them because they leave a web trail behind them. It's kind of Arachnid's main way to like engage and chase without having to use her ultimate or blink, so I think it's pretty good. Rco Dash is okay. I think this one will go in B. It's very slow, so very easy to interrupt, because it doesn't have any kind of immunity really. It might have knock-up immunity actually, but it's pretty easy to interrupt because of how slow it is. And it only really applies to slow. Like, if this, you know, stunned or rooted people that you went through, it'd be a bit better, but I don't think it's amazing. It's a stand switcher ability, so it makes sense that it's kind of a little bit worse than the average, because that tends to be how stand switcher abilities are, because they have more of them. Athena Dash, probably B as well. The only reason this isn't lower is because of the block stacks it gives. Like, if this didn't give the block stacks, it would be quite a bit lower, because you just have to charge it up and it's so telegraphed. Like, I see Athenas all the time just, like, charging up their dash, like, ready to dash taunt, like, the backline or something, and the backline just see it coming from a mile away and either prepare their beads or, like, get out of range. If this was instant, I think it would be a lot better, but the fact that you have to charge it up really holds this thing back, in my opinion. Summon Suku is an interesting one, because it's kind of different to a lot of abilities here. It's very hard to rate, actually, because I'm trying to place this, like, against these other ones that I've currently placed, but it really doesn't do the same thing as a lot of these other ones do. Kind of like armor auras, in a way. I think I'll put it in A for now. Like, it's pretty good. Like, you get a lot of movement speed. Obviously, the strafing penalty kind of sucks, but usually you can kind of play around that and make sure that you're not using, like, strafing all too much. They buffed this recently, I think. Like, maybe they decreased the mana cost or something, so that you can kind of spam it a little bit more, like spam, get off, and back on. Not, like, drain your entire mana pool. So, yeah, I think A is pretty fair. Baba Yaga? See, I haven't really had much experience playing against or as Baba Yaga, so I'm not entirely sure where to place this, but I might go with B. I know it has, like, some kind of damage reduction while you're channeling it, which is nice, but it is still a very long channel. Much like Athena Dash. Like, you can really see it coming and know where she's gonna go. And what she's gonna do. But it does decent damage. I think it slows people when you, like, blast off, but the range on it isn't the best, and it has a very long charge up. It's pretty telegraphed. And on a major ability, that's not really what you want, because if, like, the enemy assassin's diving you and you start using this, and they know where you're going to go, they're just going to follow you, so it's not the best. Should probably start going a bit quicker on these, because I literally have 99 of these to do. I'd love to explain, like, all the intricacies of every single one, but the video is going to be an hour long if I do that, so I'm going to try and go a little bit quicker. Bacchus Flop, insane. Like, this is a really good engage, one of the best engages support can have. Like, Knock-Up is an insanely good CC, and it's relatively fast and quite hard to dodge. Bakasura, it's fine. It's a movement ability. Honestly, I might even put it... No, I'll put it in A, because leaps are obviously a lot better than dashes, because they can go over walls, and being able to go over walls is good for Bakasura. Bastet, very similar to Bakasura, actually. It's a leap that can go over walls, so it can't be, like, that bad, and being able to jump back has, like, good potential. Bologna... On the basis of being a movement ability, I'll probably put it in B, because obviously the dash is incredibly small and it doesn't do very much damage, but it's mainly the fact that, like, this gives you access to... I'm going to move it up, actually. It's mainly the fact that this gives you access to the block stacks and the sword and shield weapon to get more block stacks. That's just really powerful. This is Bakasura passive. I probably shouldn't really have included this one. It's just a tiny little movement speed steroid, but I guess I'll put it in, like, B. Like, it's just a little bit of extra movement when you kill stuff, which is nice, but not insane. This is Cerberus Jump. It's a jump, like I said. I think most jumps aren't going to be anywhere below A, because jumps are just very powerful. Being able to go over walls and stuff is really good. Cerberus Jump is fine. Cernunnos Dash is good. I mean, it's a dash, which kind of sucks, but the fact that it can, like, go through gods and then you can cancel it whenever you want is really good. Like, you can AA cancel with it pretty well. You can sort of, like, dash through people, cancel it when you're behind them, turn around and start autoing, and it kind of messes with them a little bit. Chak 2 is meh. It's either B or C. I'm going to put it C simply because it relies on another ability. Like, you can do sort of like juking where, like, you throw the axe one way and, like, you teleport either to the axe or you keep running and they have to kind of make a 50-50 on that. But overall, it's incredibly telegraphed. Like, it's not really a way to engage. It's more of a way to escape, which is still useful. But on a warrior, you tend to not need to, like, escape in that way. You want, like, more of an engage, and you're never really engaging with Chak 2 because, like, you have to throw the axe, and then by the time you've 2'd, like, the enemies just run away, so. Changa passive is cool. It's, like, a little bit of extra movement speed. Obviously, I included this one kind of just for the lols. Like, it's not really a movement ability, so to speak, but having extra movement on all of your dances is pretty cool. Chernobog Dash is really good, man. Probably S, honestly. Like, being able to dash into walls is really good. You can, like, double hit with it if you instantly dash out of the wall. The slow on it's pretty good, but it's mainly the fact that you can, like, dash into walls and just become immune for, like, 3 seconds. That's incredibly powerful. Chiron Dash is fine. Like, being able to knock enemies behind you is kind of like Wukong. It's a good way to disengage, which is very good for a squishy. Obviously, you can cancel the dash at any time as well, which is nice. Pretty much it. Chronos 2, probably B. It's like a good amount of movement speed. Like you get some initial speed and then you like accelerate as well. So yeah, pretty good for getting around the fight. Cthulhu Dash, probably A. It does really good damage. It's pretty long range, but also pretty slow with like a little bit of startup time. It's got like maybe half a second of like you kind of charging up to like fire it. But it is still a dash. It's not the best. But the stun is nice. Like the 0.4 second stun means that you can like pull people out of knock-up immune abilities and things like that, like Anubis one, which is very good. Cuchulain's Rage Mode Dash, not very good. It's kind of like Hercules Driving Strike, but a lot worse. Like, I think it probably does less damage and it has no stun at the end of it, so you kind of just, like, push them and then they just run away because they don't really have a slow. Like, it's still decent, because, like, it's a movement ability, I guess, but it doesn't go very far and it has no real CC. Cuchulain's Jump is a little better in my opinion, mainly because it's a jump. The thing is, it's a very short range jump, so it can't really go over walls all that well. But for wave clear, it's pretty good, and obviously you need it to charge up your passive. Cupid Dash kind of sucks, man. Cupid Dash is like, it's pretty short range, doesn't do anything really except for a little bit of a passive attack speed steroid, and I guess it can speed up your team in that way, but like, why would you want that when you have stuff like Armor Aura that exists that's just far better? I don't think Cupid Dash is very good. Daji 3, probably B, honestly. Like, the thing is, it requires a target, so you can't really use this to run away unless a teammate is, like, there, sort of, like, slightly out of the fight, so you can, like, TP to them. So it's kind of complicated to use as a disengage tool, especially if you don't have comms with your teammates. If you're just with randoms, they're not really going to, like... A lot of randoms don't have the mindset of, like, oh, I need to help this Daji get out of the fight. It's more just, like, they'll play how they want to play, which kind of screws you over a little bit. But it's decent as an engage and, like, a follow-up tool. What even is this? I know, like, all the ability icons. Oh, it's Discordia 3, right? Yeah, so Discordia 3 in terms of actually being a movement ability is pretty trash. Like, it's not really a movement ability, but I thought I'd include it anyway because people have probably asked for it. Like, it's a very, very short-range dash into some potential invisibility, but it's like Nuba's invisibility. You can just throw your big ability, like, on the area, and you're gonna hit her, so it's not amazing. But obviously, the cooldown reduction is really good, so... Erlang 3 is insane. I've been saying this for a long time and it's been nerfed a billion times now. Like, before it was getting nerfed, I was like, this ability is completely insane. Why are they not nerfing it? And they've nerfed it a lot now. Like, they took the haste off. I think they hit the attack speed. They hit the turtle movement speed. But, like, being able to just, like, turtle underneath someone, immediately cancel it and get, like, a bunch of free autos in while they're knocked up is crazy. The attack speed can be used for, like, extra wave clear or extra damage if you want to use it that way. And obviously, it can be used to run away if you want to use it that way. It's just a very solid ability. Fafnir's Dragon Form 3 is probably S+. Obviously, this is kind of cheating because it's like a limited time ability that Fafnir doesn't always have access to, but when he does, it's a very, very long-range leap that's pretty fast. It's probably pretty average speed. That has like a massive AoE stun at the end and does a ton of damage. Like, there's not really anything more you would want from this. The non-Dragon Form 3, however, is just kind of okay. The stun turning into a disarm is way less valuable, and that's basically the reason why it drops like 2 tiers. Fenrir Jump is good, actually. The fact that you have to charge it up isn't ideal, but once you do charge it up, it's like a pretty fast, decent range leap that can go over walls, obviously, and then it has that stun, which is Fenrir's like main way to engage. Ganesha 3 is super underrated in my opinion. I'm going to put it A+. Like, the fact that you can just, like, dash into someone and then, like, keep them in place for probably what is about 1.5 seconds and have, like, follow-up from your team is just ridiculously good. And also, of course, you can go through player-made walls, but that's rarely relevant, honestly. Geb 1 isn't very good. As much as I love Geb, like, his 1 is so predictable. It takes very long time to get the CC immunity, so you can often get interrupted out of this by anyone that has, like, an on-demand CC. Anyone like Nox, you know, anyone that has just a stun is gonna like immediately stun you out of this if you try and use it to run away. And if you try and use it to engage, you've used like your only movement there. It's also very telegraphed, like enemies can see and hear it coming from a mile away. And only like people that aren't paying attention are gonna get like, you know, go around the back of their team and like push them into your team. Only people that aren't paying attention are gonna get like fooled by that. So I don't think it's really the best movement ability in the game. Guan Dash is fine. I mean, it's a very, very short-range dash, but it is very quick, which is nice, and also comes with a slow, right? I'm pretty sure Guan Dash comes with a slow. Hachiman Dash is pretty balanced. It's very short range, but obviously a dash that can stun is always going to be pretty powerful, and it's good for like aggressive plays and stuff like that, but it's less good for disengaging simply because it doesn't really have very much range at all. Hachiman's more of like a brawler character, and you use your ultimate to disengage, not your dash, but in terms of like aggression, it's sort of like Her. Like, in terms of running away, it's like B or C tier, but in terms of being aggressive, it's very good, so I'm going to put it in A for now. Hades Dash is meh. Probably B. I was considering maybe C for this because like it's super slow, super telegraphed, like you can kind of see where he's going with it. And the slow is nice, but not really amazing. I guess you can kind of like dash and slow people into your ult and stuff, but it's... I don't know, maybe I should put it higher. Just because it's a jump. Then again, I have some jumps down here, like the bad jumps might go down in B. But it's pretty decent range, you can go over walls with it. I think I'll bump it up to A. Just the fact that you can go over most walls in the map with it is very good. Hebo Cap is incredibly busted and everyone underrates it constantly. Like, this ability is nuts. Like, it gives... I don't actually know the numbers, but I think it's something like 50% movement speed. It might be like 40 or 60 or 50, I'm not sure, but it's somewhere around there. And then also slows for the same amount. So, like, no one can follow you on the carpet. They have to, like, move around the carpet or use their, like, dash or jump to follow you. And it gives it to the entire team. So, like, the enemy can't buy Curse. Like, you would think an immobile character like Hebo would be absolutely ruined by Horrific Emblem to, like, slow you, but you just press the carpet and your entire team just, like, step on it for half a second, it removes the slow, and then, like, it's a useless relic. So, like, and also gods that are reliant on slows, like Arachnid does really bad into Hebo, Baka does really bad into Hebo, Nem does really bad into Hebo. Like, a lot of the characters that would normally dive Hebo very effectively are just hard countered by this, and it's a super underrated ability in my opinion. High in Crystals, also S tier. I think potentially these two actually could have maybe been S+. I'll see how it goes, but like, High in Crystals are just nuts. Like, the vision they give is crazy, like the massive vision line that they give if you set them up properly. They do take a little bit of getting used to and a little bit of skill to use properly, but also, like, the in-combat teleports, just being able to, like, boop yourself out of like, harm's way is just insane. And also you can kind of use it like a Jingwei passive as well, but that's not really the best use of it. Driving Strike is really good. Like, the displacement factor is huge. Like, you can push people away. Obviously, it combos with Earthbreaker super well and makes Hercules just like a monster to just like pick people off. You can push people into your tower, and then obviously it's just really good damage and comes with a stun at the end to like set up your ult or set up your other teammates' abilities. Horus 3 is not amazing. It's kind of like Daji 3 in that you require a target ally to actually be able to use it. You can't even use it on enemies, this one. So it's very limited in its applications, but when you can dash to an ally, it's a good heal and a very good range dash. You can kind of extend the range if the ally uses their dash as you use yours. So like if you had communication, you could probably make that work, but it's very sort of limited use because you have to have an ally to be at TP to, and like I said with Dashi Dash, in a lot of like random casual or ranked games, people aren't going to be paying attention to that, and you'll sometimes get screwed over. Who you jump is fine. Goes over walls, obviously, it's very snappy. You can actually like use it instantly, or you can like hover in the air a bit and kind of like psych out enemies on where you're going to go and sort of like see where they're kind of going and then like go the other way and stuff, so it's pretty good. Hunbat's jump is probably A simply by virtue of it being a jump, but it's not a very good jump. It's very slow. It's like one of those old movement abilities that's just incredibly slow. Because obviously Hunbat's has been in the game a long time. He was originally Sun Wukong, but he kept his kit when he became Hunbat, so his kit's actually been in the game since like 2012. So it's one of those sort of like slower movement abilities from back then that still feels incredibly slow today. Sacred Monkey, I'm not sure I should have included this one, but yeah, it's it relies on enemies to be able to teleport. Obviously, you can't use it to go anywhere, but it's fine because Hunbat's has a jump that you can use to go anywhere. So, like, if this was his only movement ability, it would kind of suck, but it's not as bad because he also has a jump in his kit. Izanami Dash is terrible. I don't know why people think this is a good ability. Like, it's so telegraphed. Like, the enemy can see where you go, like, as you fade away. And the delay on it is just super bad. Like, it's got a bit of delay in startup and then a bit of delay after you complete the dash. And any good player that knows the range of this dash and sees the direction you go can immediately pinpoint exactly where you are. So it's basically like you're not invisible. They just throw something at you like an auto attack or an ability, you become uninvisible, and then it's just a very short range dash with like a super long wind up, which sucks. Janus Portal is crazy good. Actually, probably S. Like, the fact that you can transport your team and also transport yourself, it's basically like a jump in that way, and that can go over walls, or through walls in this case. Yeah, Janus Portals are just crazy. I don't think anyone's disputing that. Giannis Threshold, once again, I'm not sure if I should have included this one, but it's pretty good. Like, it triggers his passive, it gives a ton of movement speed to, like, your entire team to get them around to, like, objectives and sieges and things like that, and it can slow enemies. Like, you can block off jungle corridors and stuff, and, like, if the enemies want to walk through, they have to take the slow and the extra damage and stuff. Okay, once again, this is getting a bit long, so we're going to have to rapid fire some of these. Jingwei Dash is good, can be used out of knockups, which is incredibly powerful. Not amazing range when used on the ground, but she has a self knockup that you can use to extend the range of it, and obviously if you're picking Jingwei into any characters with knockup, she's completely insane because of this. This is Jingwei's passive, which I thought I'd include as a meme. It's obviously not really a movement ability, like a lot of these other ones are, but it's pretty crazy. Like, the fact that she can just back and just immediately come back to lane is just nuts. I'll probably put this in S. Wait, what even is this? I don't know this ability icon. Oh, it's Yom 3. I don't play that much Yom. That's probably why. Yom 3 is okay. It's quite slow to start up, so you can interrupt it a lot. Like, I see a lot of Yoms, like, try and cast this, get interrupted, try and cast this, get interrupted, try and cast this, get interrupted. And, like, it kind of means that, like, it sucks in that way. But, the immunity is, not the immunity, sorry, the invisibility is nice. And, obviously, it's a small knockup. I just don't think it's the best. And, obviously, it can't go over walls and things like that. Kali Jump is fine. Decent range, goes over walls, can be used as a decent heal if you're trying to, like, jungle. Like, pretty underrated in that way. If you get a jungle camp low, like the back minion, because they have a lot of max health, and then you jump them, you get a big heal from this, which is pretty good. Kepler Dash as a movement ability is kind of trash, but as a CC ability is very good. Like, you can just pull frontliners, it has no DR, so, like, you can sort of, like, stun or knock up or whatever, and then follow it up with a Kepri pull, and it's not going to be DR'd, it's still going to be like 2 seconds or however long this is. So it's super good for killing frontliners, because it's not affected by DR or CCR, so even if they're building 40% CDR on their frontliner, you still pull them for the full duration, which is really good. Arthur knockup is not great, it's like very short range. Then again, it's a knockup, so I'll probably put it in B just because knockups are so powerful. But obviously, Arthur's abilities, he has like 8 of them, so they're not meant to be like as powerful as regular abilities. Cuckoo's Slipstream is actually really underrated. Like, Cuckoo's one of those low mobility mages that people just assume is unsafe, but honestly, it gives 80% movement speed at max rank, which obviously it has diminishing returns. You're not going up 1.8 times speed when you use this, but it's still very powerful. It gives you a lot of speed and also gives slow immunity, which, like I mentioned for Hebo Cap, it means that a lot of the backline divers that rely on slows kind of suffer against Kukulkan. And it's just a pretty good ability overall. Kumba Dash is fine. It's not really a movement ability, like you can use it that way, but it's more of like a wave clear ability and like damage and stuff. I'll probably put it in B. Like, it's a dash, it can't go over walls. In terms of actually using it for mobility, it's pretty trash. Kumba Dash is pretty good. Like, for mobility, it's not the best because there's no CC immunity on it, so like it's a very long channel, you can get interrupted pretty easily, but the fact that you can just like dash someone through the wave or like dash them into a wall and hold them there, like there's a lot of applications to this ability. Medusa Dash, can I put this in D tier? No, I won't put it in D tier, it's not that bad, but this ability really sucks. Like, the fact that you can just block it from, like, any angle, like, the hitbox for it is huge, so you can be, like, anywhere near Medusa and it'll block this, and then she has effectively no movement ability. And while it's incredibly good for, like, aggression, because of, like, the anti-heal, the damage it does, the root that allows you to, like, follow up with 1 or 2 auto attacks afterwards, it's only useful for aggression. Like, it's such a bad ability in terms of, like, actually getting away that I can't really put it much higher here. Because, like, as a hunter, you need some way to get away, and Medusa doesn't really have that. Mercury Dash is fine. Once again, it's often not really used as a movement ability. Like, it can be used as, like, a gap closer into CC, but a lot of the time, you're kind of in the enemy's face, and you just use this to, like, CC and throw them into a wall for you to follow up with more auto attacks. Like, Mercury's movement more so comes from his ult and blink than it comes from this, but it's a decent ability. This is Merlin Blink, which is good. Like, it's incredibly short range, but an in-combat blink that's only on, like, a 20-second cooldown is just always going to be really good. Like, we've learned this from the past. Like, combat blink is incredibly good. Like, we've learned it from the rituals, we've learned it from the actual relic. Although the actual relic combat blink wasn't bought because it's on, like, a 200-second cooldown or whatever. This is on, like, a 20-second cooldown, which is insanely good. Mulan 3 is okay. The only reason I'm putting it B is because you have to like spend all the time evolving it, and you have to use a lot of mana and time just like freeing people in the lane to make sure that you evolve this. If it came immediately with a wall grapple, it'd probably be up in A, because that's pretty strong, but obviously it can't go over walls. More so useful for aggression, because like you can get away with it if you want to just like latch to a wall, but it's kind of a bit situational in that way. Neath backflip is still not good. Before the buffs I would have put this in C, but they sped it up a little bit, so it's a little better now, but it's still very telegraphed. Kind of like Izanami's in a way. Like, if a Neath backflips, you just know exactly where she's going to land if you're a decent player, and you just like fire an ability there. You could even like predict it, so like you just put your Scylla 2 down, you know where she's going to land, you blow it up as soon as she lands there, and then you're just kind of screwed. Nemesis Dash is pretty good. Like, it's a nice double dash. You can use it for AA cancelling, which is very good. You can use abilities in between it, which is also good. But it's not a jump. It can't follow people over walls. So, like, any backliner that has a jump that can go over walls, Nemesis kind of suffers in chasing that without Blink. So, yeah. Ninja Sash, once again, it's kind of not really a movement ability. It can only be used to engage. Can't be used to run away, which kind of sucks. So, I'll probably put it in B. This is another ability that I don't know what it is. Which god did we just do? Nemesis. Oh, it's Nike Jump, right? Nike Jump. It's often for gods I don't play. Like, I really don't play Nike that much. Nike Jump is fine. They made it a lot faster, obviously, with the rework. Well, they didn't make it faster. They just made it so, like, you didn't have to use the 2 and then use Elite for it to be fast. So it's pretty fast now. Can go over walls. Has a knock-up. Actually, I'm going to put this in A+. Like, the fact that it has a knock-up is insanely good. Like, knock-ups are super good CC. And even though it's a short knock-up, like, it doesn't go very high, it's a very fast movement ability that can go over walls, can be used to engage or disengage. It's pretty good overall. Nox Dash is decent, actually. Like, the fact that you can hide in an ally is really good. Like, if your support comes to peel, or like you could even hide in your ADC as like a way to peel yourself. If the enemy dives you and gets you to like 20%, you hide in your ADC, and your ADC is probably going to be full health if the enemy was diving you and not them. So you can kind of hide in them, or you can just like hide in your support and stuff. I think it's kind of meme to like engage with like Thorul or Thanarul or Athenarul using this. It's kind of way too memey. I'm not really considering that, but like just as a base movement ability, it's pretty good. This is Odin Jump, which is fine. It's a reasonably fast. It's sort of like a moderate speed. Can go over walls, obviously. Combines with this 2 very well. Just a decent movement ability. Pele 3 is super underrated in my opinion. Like, it's really good for actual like camp clear early on. Gives you a ton of extra movement speed. Like, you don't always have to amplify this. You can just kind of use it as the extra movement speed, almost like you would use Suku, and it's really good for that. Persephone Jump. So the jump itself really sucks, but the fact that it activates her broken plants is why it's not in like C tier. And also because it is a jump, but like in general it doesn't go too far. It's very predictable, quite slow, which makes sense because Persephone has so much range that she doesn't need an amazing movement ability, and often this is just used to activate your plants. But yeah, as a movement ability, it's not the best. Raijin 3 sucks. Like, the fact that you can interrupt this, like, really sucks, and it's quite telegraphed, quite slow. Rama 3, also not the best. It's a very short range dash, and the only reason it's not C tier is 1, because of the cripple that you can get from it, and 2, because it's omnidirectional, so you can, like, easily dash backwards in a way and stuff like that. This is Ra passive. I was going to say, this doesn't look like a movement ability, but yeah, it's Ra passive. Ra passive is pretty good, honestly. Like, having a free boot's worth of movement speed just by casting abilities, it's very easy to keep this up, especially once you get some cooldown reduction online. You just cast 3 abilities before you come out of base, and then keep using your 2 or whatever to refresh it. And you just have like a full boot's worth of movement speed, so you're like a little bit faster than everyone else usually, which is pretty good. Rat Dash is probably like B. It's okay, it's like decent range, like, but it's still a dash. It doesn't go over walls. Obviously, if you have the crit icon, this can be kind of insane when you crit people, but overall, it's not amazing. Scylla 3, also not the best. It's super telegraphed. Like, it takes a good, like, second or so for you to put up the Sentinel and then teleport to it, whereas, like, other movement abilities are pretty instant in terms of, like, they get you off the ground or get you away very quickly. Scylla 3 is very telegraphed, but it can still go over walls, so it can't really be any lower than B. Deathbane, so this isn't really used like a movement ability. Maybe I shouldn't have included this one, because it's merely just used to like Deathbane on the spot and kill people, which is good. As a movement ability, it's not really the best. Like, it's a fairly short range dash that can do decent damage, but if you're using it as like a long range dash, you're only going to hit someone maybe once or twice. You're not going to hit all 3. But yeah, it's not really used as a movement ability. I probably shouldn't have included this one. Circus Ambush is decent. It's a very long range jump that can go over walls. Obviously the stealth aspect isn't really that useful for the most part, but it can be. But also it has a little bit, it's sort of like Scylla, but not to like the same extent as Scylla, where like there's a little bit of delay before you can use this. It's not instant, like you have to go invisible and then jump, and it takes you maybe half a second or so to do that. But overall, and also you can't be pulled out of it, so like while you're in that like 0.5 seconds of going invisible, getting ready to jump, you can be like silenced out of it or whatever. But overall, it's a movement ability that can go over walls, that goes pretty far, it's decent. Set TP, probably A. Once again, can go over walls, pretty good, but does require a clone, which kind of holds it back a little bit. Scatty Ice, don't know if I should have included this one. It's really not a movement ability, it's more of like something you use to CC enemies, but you can like run over it and get the extra speed, which is pretty decent. Stomach Charge Prey is ridiculous. I've been saying this for a long time. The fact that you can just like dash in and pluck the enemy, like you can pluck their front line if you want, and they're probably still going to die. Or you can obviously pluck their backliners, and like if they don't have beads, they're dead pretty much. This ability is crazy. Sol 3, also crazy. It's insane to me that like this ability is still so strong, and from release they've nerfed it so many times. Like they took the haste off, they took the stun off, they took some movement speed off, I think. And then like the fact that she just gets like extra movement speed, she can backpedal and like melee gods can't really chase her that well. And then obviously she gets that full immunity, which is pretty crazy. This is Wukong's transformations, which I think is also S for a movement ability. Like, the fact that you have the 3 different options, like, you can bird if you're just trying to get back to lane or trying to get out of a fight, or if you just need, like, the mega movement speed to chase people. You can Ox if, like, you're getting dived and you need the knock-up to get people off of you, or just, like, for, like, CC. And if you're just fighting, like, one person, or you just want a single target stun, obviously you have the Tiger for that, which does a lot of damage and stuns. Stormcaster, once again, it's not really a movement ability, it's more so just used for the damage, but it does have a little bit of a dash on the end. I'll put it in A for now. Susano 3 also, it can be used for the mobility, but it's more so used for the damage and the AA cancelling and stuff. But yeah, if you throw this at someone, you can teleport, and like you can also use it even if you don't hit an enemy, so it can be used to disengage. So Terra Dash on its own sucks ass, but if you put it in the context of her kit, it's not that bad. Like the fact that you can blow up your obelisk and root people and stuff like that is very good. Scent of Death is really good, probably like an A+. Like, the fact that it gives 35 pen is kind of crazy. Like, Thana can just go one Mace Tree item, so like Crusher or whatever, that gives 15 pen, or Brawlers, and then activates 2 when he's immediately at the penetration cap of 50 flat pen, which is really crazy. And then also, the extra movement speed is nice, and if you're chasing a target, the speed is nuts. Mori 3 kind of allows her to do what she does, where she like kind of just 3s and 1s, gets into the back line, stun into 2, that can kind of nuke someone, and then you just immediately ult after that. Like, it kind of enables Mori's entire playstyle, and it's, like, the thing is with Izanami, like, people are going to say, oh, how are you going to rate Morrigan A and Izanami C? They kind of do the same thing. They don't really, because Morrigan's 1 is a lot longer invisibility, and 2 is instant. Like, the fact that it's instant and you can move as soon as you do it means you can, like, kind of juke around and people don't know exactly where you're going to go. Izanami 3 is very telegraphed. That's the difference between them. Thor Hammer, so once again, like, this is sort of an ability that's more used for damage, but it can also be used for mobility. I'm going to put this in A+, actually. It's an ability that you can teleport over walls with, which is good, and you can also use it for, like, damage and mobility. Like, you can stun, double tap, and then right as you hit the second tap, you just teleport to them, and then you're in melee range. So that's really good. Thoth Dash is fine. I think it roots right now, right? Like, they change Thoth Dash all the time. Like, it used to be a stun, and then it was a slow, and now I think it's a root, is how it works. Because it used to be, like, a slow that went through everyone, a stun that was single target, a root that went through everyone. I'm not sure what state it's actually in right now, because no one really plays Thoth, but I think it's in a root. And, obviously, when you use it with the Glyph, it's one of the longest range dashes in the game, and it's very good, but on its own, it's sort of medium range, and then, obviously, the root is pretty good to, like, keep people off you. Kusarigama, I kind of included this just like because Tsukuyomi's a recent release. It's not really a movement ability, but it can be used that way. Like, you can chase with it and stuff. Obviously, right now I will put this in S+, simply because it's a broken ability, but in terms of actually thinking of it as a movement ability, it's just pretty fair. Assault Stance Fearless is pretty good, probably like A+. It's sort of like Hercules Dash in that it gives you really good displacement. And where, like, Hercules Dash is followed up by a stun, you can easily follow this up with a knock-up for, like, additional CC. It's just pretty good. Blue Stance Fearless is probably A, though. Like, it comes with a base knockup, which is really nice, but it's not as quite, like, as CC chainy and as controllable as, like, Red Stance Fearless is. Ula Axe buff is okay. I mean, it's just a little bit of a movement steroid. It's not the best movement steroid in the world, and it's just a little bit of a movement speed increase. It's not going to get you completely out of the fight at all. In fact, I'll probably move this down to C. Ula Jump, it's relatively slow, but it is a jump that can go over walls, so I think I'll still put it in A. For Mana Dash, so for Mana Dash is basically like Ox form of Wukong. But Wukong has access to a lot of other things. I think it's pretty good. Like, it's good for getting people off you. You can also just, like, dash in, pretty much dash in place. Like, dash, get the knockup, immediately cancel it, and follow up with auto attacks. And that's a pretty good way to use it. So it's pretty versatile. Vulcan Backfire, so I put this in here just for the meme. In terms of actually being a movement ability, it's obviously complete garbage. Like, it just fires you backwards, like, a tiny bit. I just put this in here for the meme. It's not really a movement ability, is it? It's more of a damage ability, but yeah. Xbalanque Dash is pretty good. Like, the fact that it has CC immunity allows it to, like, be used in a lot of different ways. To dodge, like, Ares ultimates, things like that. But the CC immunity doesn't come online instantly, which does kind of suck. But overall, it's a very long-range dash. Obviously, can't go over walls. That's the only reason that sucks. If, like, the bit where you kind of lift off the ground counted as a jump and you could go over walls, it'd be absolutely ridiculous. But you can't do that, so probably A tier. Xing Chen Leap is fine. I think probably A tier. It's like a nice double leap, so you can kind of like leap one way, leap the other way if you need to use it that way, or just leap in the same direction if you want to chase or run away. It gives a little bit of protections, which is cool, and has decent damage. And finally, your Mojo Ring. No one really plays your Mojo, which is kind of the sad thing. So I don't really know how good this is. I feel like it's pretty good, though. Like, you can obviously use this to, like, ping enemies back into your own team if they're trying to run away. You can get this to, like, I think simply because you can use this to move your entire team in a similar way to like a Janus or an Armor Aura. I think I'm going to put this in A+, because like you can use one of these and like your entire team can just use it to like get to an objective or get to a siege really quickly. But yeah, that's my thoughts on all these 99 movement abilities, or well 98 if you don't count Vulcan and stuff. Like some of these I included that maybe shouldn't have been included, but I just thought I wanted to include as many as I could. So people didn't complain in the comments saying, you should have included this ability. I think 10% movement speed on Artemis 2 counts as a movement ability, like things like that. Like I didn't include stuff like that where it's just like a small movement speed increase and it's more of like a secondary function of the ability. I wanted sort of abilities that like primary function is the fact that they can move you about. In terms of rearranging, because I was thinking I might do that, I might put like Heim Crystals in S, Hippocapit in S, probably Sol 3 in S as well. I mean S+, sorry, for all these. And then like the rest of these are fine. I think the rest are all fine. I just wanted to move some of the S ones up to S+, because I didn't want just Fafnir thing. But obviously, I think if there was an SS tier, Fafnir Dash would be in that, but that's simply because it's a Dragon Form ability and he doesn't get access to it all the time. But yeah, Heim Crystals are absolutely nuts for like the vision and the movement. Hippocapit is incredibly underrated, super powerful. And Sol 3 is like one of the best escape abilities in the entire game. But yeah, that's my thoughts. Obviously, let me know if you disagree with any of these. I'm sure you disagree on some of them. There's 99 of them, so you're bound to disagree on at least a few, if not a lot of them. But yeah, overall, I was rating them mostly on their ability to be movement abilities. That's why like Kusarigama is not S+, because like in terms of actually being a movement ability, it's just fine. Obviously, let me know any ideas you have for tier lists down in the comments below. I enjoy doing these like kind of random arbitrary tier lists, like ranking certain types of abilities. Like I did one for like relics. I did one for what was it? I did one. I could do like a heal tier list maybe. If you want to see a heal tier list, that'd be pretty cool. Oh, it's steroids tier list. That was the one. Yeah, I did a steroids tier list a little bit ago. So if you want to see that heal tier list, I could do that. And if you have any other ideas for like random tier lists for Smite, let me know. And I'll catch you guys later. Have a great day, and peace out, you nerds.